Welcome to another episode of the Dealer Talk Podcast. This is your host, Herb Anderson. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have my special co-host, Mr. Sean Kelly. What up, Sean? How are you, sir?
What's up, Herb? I'm great, man. I've been up since 4:30, flew in from Nashville this morning just so I could make this podcast to hang out with you and John.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here. I've really been enjoying you co-hosting these sessions with me. Our guest for today is no stranger to the show. We had him here for the season opener or for the season 2 opener. But now that we're doing video and, moving things up, I wanted to have him back on the show so we can have a in-depth conversation about many topics. So without further ado, the guest for today, Mr. John Resurreccion. What's up, John? Yeah, when I edit it, I'll put some clapping.
The audience clapping. Yeah, that's the one. What's going on, fellas? How the heck are you guys?
What's up, man?
Good, man. Thanks, dude, for being here with us on a Saturday morning. Yeah, dude, excited to have a conversation. Obviously, you've already been on the show, so you gave us a recap of your background and that whole deal. But how about you just catch us up, man? Because I know you've been doing some really cool things. You got your Expose Your Truth movement, and you're doing some other stuff. So let us know what you've been up to, man.
The Expose Your Truth is realistically a segue off of the selling cars like candy bars. It's really just getting people comfortable with uncomfortable, right? And it's everything that's outside of the automotive industry. When I started doing selling cars like candy bars, getting on social media, letting people know what I do, I had a lot of different other industries hit me up. Says, man, we love what you're doing. Can you do that for us? And for me, I like challenges. I like to meet different people. I think that one of the biggest things that the car business is, one of the traits that it's given me to is to really just dive in, meet different people, understand them, understand what they do, and then really just putting it on media and letting people know that it's okay to be on media. Forever. We've had, the networks and the radio stations control the media. And because of social media, it's allowed people like myself, you, Sean, to just get on a platform, talk about our truth, talk about what we do, how we can help them. And we could do it at scale. And so with the Expose Your Truth, it was literally just to get inside with the different businesses. I've dealt with a couple of clothing brands, construction company. That was an interesting one. Athletics. My son, obviously, Herb, you follow me quite often. My son is huge in athletics. So, meeting with these different avenues and different cultures, it's allowed me to do what I do with selling cars like candy bars, expose the truth of, what makes them different, what makes them special. And it's okay to be different. That's what makes us all special. And we bring something to the table. So I've been blessed with allowing that business to pop off a bit. Hence the reason why I was a little bit, I drew away a little bit from LinkedIn a little bit. You didn't see me for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I didn't really engage as much because, when the plate gets heavy, it's where do I put my place? But it's something about the car business that always drives you back. It's like a gateway drug for me. I just love the car business. So, getting back into that, now I'm working with the number one Nissan dealership in California, Downey Nissan. Huge, big win for selling cars like candy bar. But it's pretty interesting as far as doing that. And then I've just been doing a lot of community stuff. I've been really giving back and going into the community a lot more. Bringing it back to the old school and really being a part of the community and not just, being in the community. So I've been doing a lot of charity events, giving my time, shaking a lot of hands, kissing a lot of different babies. I felt like the president, that type of thing. So, but it's good. It's what it's allowed me to do is literally expand my mindset. And I know, Sean, that's a big thing for you, and Herb, that's a big thing for you, is expanding your mindset to different things so you can be more of effective in your own business. And that's what I really love about. I love this pair that you guys got going on, Herb. I mean, massive, big win for Dealer Talk and everything, so I think it's a great thing. But yeah, I'm back. I'm here. I haven't gone anywhere. Just been busy.
Well, welcome. Well, we're glad to hear you've been busy, man. You bring so much value to the industry, to the auto industry, and there's no question when you deliver that sort of value and you put yourself out there, that success is going to bleed into other industries. And I love what you said about the charity thing. That's something that we try to do. I give coaching to local nonprofits for free to help them grow. And no, it's much respect for that, my friend.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's important. You know what I mean? And I think that's just one of those traits that even into this generation, the next generation that's coming out, that, the best way, let's put it in a way where if you're in the business of sales in general, right? Or you're in the business, it's always going to be about people. All right. And we know that. We talk about it all the time. And if you're not involving yourself and you're not giving your time to to everyone else and just letting them know, here, I'm here to help you, no one's ever going to want to talk to you, do business with you, that type of thing. So it's a twofold, right? It's one of those, put yourself out there and see what happens. You never know what opportunities come your way, type of thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to talk a little bit more about that and just video in general, because you're so good at that. But I wanted to kind of take things in a little bit of a different direction, just maybe the first half of the session, by talking about data, man, and websites and kind of getting your perspective on that whole deal. So one of the things for me, 2020 is all about taking control of the inventory, and that's kind of like the message that I'm starting to put out there. Is we as an industry, we got to get control back of our inventory. Most importantly, we got to get control back of how we tell that story, right? And that all starts with our website, because our website is the land of no competitors. And then using the platforms that are available to us today, whether it be social media or YouTube or those platforms that we can control to, put our message out there and then drive customers to our sandbox where it's just our inventory and we're not, on third-party sites where there's us and everybody else.
Right.
So kind of let's kick things off there. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, let's start with the website aspect, right? Probably the greatest analogy I can probably say, and this is talking. I'm a borderline millennial, but when I got in the business, I was taught the old school way of how to sell cars, right?
Right.
And so majority of the people that we speak to are probably GMs, dealer principals, executive owners, CEOs, that type of thing. And so for me, as I started talking to different people in different industries, I started to understand that I can't fault the people that are in charge right now because they don't know any better. They don't know. They think, okay, website is website. Social media is just social media. I don't get it. I don't understand it, right? So I try to put it in a way where they can understand it. When I was in the car business, selling cars, when I first got in the business, right, and the GM or the sales manager would get on top of you and says, what are you doing? Are you following up with your customers, right? Or if you get a phone pop and a phone rings and you answer the phone, the first thing that a manager, sales manager, owner, whoever it may be, is always going to say, get them in the door. That's it. We want to put them in front of us, right? And so when I think of that, it should be, as far as your website, it should have that same effect as far as, okay, if a customer walks onto your lot, are you prepared as a salesperson to give this customer all the information that they're looking for? Whatever they may be looking for, like, do you have a red car or do you have this vehicle in stock, that type of thing. And not only that, do you know enough about that vehicle to talk about that vehicle, and making sure that that customer is comfortable with you enough to know that, okay, I'm dealing with the right person. They're getting me the right information. Now, let's put this in a term where a GM and an owner can understand. They'll walk in, customer walks into the dealership. The customer's asking the salesperson all these different questions. Salesperson can't answer it. What do you think the customer is going to do? They're going to go to the next store. Right. They're just going to leave just like that. Well, your website's the same thing. If someone goes into your website, whatever way it gets there, from SEO, SEM, whatever it may be, it gets to your actual website. if your website's not prepared for the traffic and it's not prepared for the questions that the customer is looking for when they go onto your website, then your customer is just going to leave your website. So I always go back to where I tell the GMs and owners, is your website Black Friday ready? Is it ready for a sale every single time someone clicks on your website? And believe it or not, I've been looking at a lot of different websites, a lot of different dealerships, and it's almost insulting. It's like the neglect. It's almost a slap in the face to the salespeople and the people that are actually there working and putting hours that, yes, we're here to work for you, but you got to make sure that whatever we have is correct. It's accurate. Going back to the inventory, is that inventory really at your dealership, right? These are the simple things that as a dealership, we have to make sure that they manage their website just like they're trying to manage their people. Your website has to be almost like your number one salesperson, especially in this era in the digital world where people want to stay home. Look at us. We're at home right now. If we weren't doing this, we're probably online looking for something, right? So I think what dealerships really need to do is just to especially for 2020, relook and reassess and look at the data. Is your website doing what it's supposed to do? Is it giving the information that it needs to give to every single consumer that clicks onto your website? And is it effective? Is there enough call to actions? Is there enough content on there to have people really stay on there when it comes down to it? So websites, huge. And then not only that, you know, all the platforms that we do, we always tell customers, or if we're on social media, we say, what do we tell them? Oh, if you want more information, go to our website, right? But
yeah, you know, I totally agree. And, you know, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to jump here. I totally agree. And I loved what you said about the website being your, you know, or it should be anyway, your number one salesperson. I mean, think about it. They don't sleep. It's up there 24/7.
yeah.
So I totally agree with that. I guess what are you seeing as far as you know, the industry looking into those things on a monthly basis? I mean, because there's so many different programs out there. Like, you know, one that I particularly like, and I'm not getting paid to say any of this, but if you want to check it out, it's called Crazy Egg. I think it's a really cool system. You can put the code on your website, and then it'll tell you, like, it'll give you a breakdown of your website. It'll tell you what's working really well, where customers are clicking, even on a heat map type of a deal. So you can actually see the path that consumers are taking when they're on the site, and it'll also tell you where you can improve, right? So, right. You know, having just things like that in place so that you can check things out, man. I think that, you know, I've always lived under the motto that what you don't manage or what you don't measure, you don't manage. And a lot of us in the industry just are not really paying close attention to those things, or we're not measuring them on a consistent basis. I mean, what's your take? I mean, do you see that as well? You know, where do you think that decision makers can, when it comes to their website, what are some steps that they can do on a monthly basis just to make sure that, you know, things are running the way that they should?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, that's an actually interesting point, that as far as managing it on a monthly basis, and then looking at all the analytics. Here's what I have found is that in the auto industry, and dealing with different dealerships, here's what I've found is that people are actually, or dealerships are actually they're not utilizing the people in the right way. For example, dealership knows social media is important. So what do? They tell their salespeople to do social media. There are people in the dealerships don't know anything about social media. So how can they effectively do it? Websites, and looking at the analytics there. Let's face it, there's a lot of dealerships out there that don't understand analytics. So, you know, they don't understand where to start. And I think that's why it's important for guys like you and Sean that do look at analytics heavily, continue to educate these people as far as how to read the analytics, where to go with it. On a monthly basis, realistically, is yes, you have to measure. I wasn't really a big measuring guy until I got into upper management. And I'm talking about GSM level, right? And this is where the GM took me aside and says, look, man, you can't, exactly what you were saying, you can't improve if you're not measuring on a daily basis. Now, you say on a monthly basis, I would say monthly, even 90 days. 90 days out is really going to tell you everything that you need. 30 days is kind of depending on the month, right? It could be a December and you think you're doing everything right, but that's when everyone buys cars anyways. So that's why we have to measure out in a 90-day window. But after that, once you start getting into the analytics, then start looking at your monthly, then your 30 days, then 30 days, then your 60s, then your 90s, and then your year. But I feel that with dealing with the monthly basis, what dealerships can do is literally test everything, try everything, in a 30-day window, try different things. It's just like how I tell people with social. People say, well, where should I start in social? Try everything. Why not? You never know what's going to work. Oh, I'm losing you. Sean, you there?
How about the, I'm sorry about that, guys.
Yeah,
I muted it. I had a weird background noise. So, I like what you're saying about the testing of things and the measurement. And, I think it's important that measurement I guess some of that needs to be delegated down to the frontline leaders, like for instance, Herb mentioned inventory earlier, right? Like I was coaching a dealer group a few months back, and I'm still working with them, but we were looking at their internet, closing percentage and things like this. Now, this isn't web analytics as much as it is sales, but it ties in here because, he's kind of browbeating his staff because he's not happy with the overall internet closing percentage, right? So, we need to be, higher. We need to be more. I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out what's going on, because usually the data tells a story, right?
Yeah.
So we start digging into the data, and I start interviewing the managers and the salespeople, and I found out that he's got all his trade-ins being put online at wholesale numbers. So you're talking $500 to $2,000 cars. So of course that's going to generate all sorts of leads and traffic.
Of course.
And affect the internet closing rate. When you get 30 leads in one day on one $500 car, you can't sell that car 30 times, right? And what else do you have in stock to sell like it? There's no switch cars, right? So I think it's important that on a web analytics side, like we're knowing conversions and SRP, VDPs, all that.
Right.
And then I think you also have to take that to the practical level of the store. And I tell you, there's, I think that it's amazing how the car sales managers, used car managers, new car managers, we're so good at merchandising our lot, painting up the old unit windshields and lot rodeo, all that. But man, we don't use the most important lot, which is our website. We kind of ignore that. How often are you looking at that one? I think every time you do a lot rodeo, if you're not doing the same thing online, you're missing out. I think that's a best practice.
Absolutely. I think on a daily basis, it has to be managed. And that's what's difficult. So you guys know very well, and you guys been to dealerships, and what ends up happening is management is they'll be asked to do one job and then another job. And then the pile keeps getting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. How do you expect these guys to really manage it on a daily basis? And that's where dealerships have to really look at the overall, am I utilizing my people the right way? And I think that's what it comes down to. And it starts from the top. Is the general manager going on down? Are they They have to start delegating people for certain things. This is your job. This is what you do. Right? If you give a guy 50 jobs, do you think they're going to be effective 100% on 50 jobs? Probably not. Right. So I think on a daily basis, the website and your inventory has to be on point every single time. I mean, if you got a used car manager and it's used cars, then make sure that used car manager is looking. That's the first thing he's doing every morning, is that when he goes, before he even looks at the used car list, he should go on the website and make sure, all right, what was sold? Is it still on the web? No? Good. All right, what else did I get? Those are the things that need to be done on a daily basis. And then on a 30-day window, then he starts to measure, okay, these are the things that work. These are the things that didn't work. I mean,
something as simple as like marking your certified pre-owns as certified on the website so everyone can see that, right? I mean,
absolutely.
It's the little things that add up. Like it's a game of inches,
So one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of stores do, which I'm super excited about, and I think it's it's about time that this became an actual role within the dealership. But there's a digital person, I don't know, digital consultant or a digital coordinator within the dealership itself. And that's all they do, man. They're just looking at data all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that almost needs to be the case just in the landscape that we live in today, because there's just, I mean, there's your website data and analytics. There's the analytics from your third-party partners. There's data from, you know, your Viatos and merchandising tools of the world. I mean, there's just so much information, and not all the information is good information too, but you need somebody that's going to be able to, you know, decipher what can we use and what's something that, you know, we don't need to worry about right now or maybe ever, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, look, Sean, you gave a good example. Like, what about those managers that back in the day, they wouldn't start their day until they walked a lot. You know what I mean? They wouldn't start their day until they walked a lot and touched every single car. We don't do that digitally for some reason. And it's crazy because that's the first point of contact that we have with the customer. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's crazy that we're not, you know, we got to do better at that, man. It just as an industry, we got to do better at paying close attention to that, to our digital presence. You know what I mean? It's too important.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, but I think it's the point that all of us talk about is going back to just simple basics and translating those basics into the digital world. Just because the digital world is very complex and it's ever changing, forever changing, there's still certain basic principles that need to be done that you can translate into the digital world, right? I mean, touching every car is just like going on your web, looking at every single inventory on your website. These are just the simple basic things that as dealers and we get so thrown off that, oh my gosh, this digital world, I can't wrap my head around it. We'll just put it to where it was the basic, like before digital world came, walking the lot.
You know, John mentioned generation, you know, like generational gaps earlier. You know, it's you mentioned being, you know, almost millennial, right? I think people right around our age group, and for those that don't know, I'm 38. I think John, how old are you, by the way?
I'm about to be 38 in about a couple of days, 14.
And Herb, what are you? You're
37.
37. So see, we're right around that. It's interesting. We knew what life was like before the internet, right? And then we also kind of grew up with it at a young age. So I feel like we're good at kind of, people in our generation are good at kind of bridging that gap, right? And that's why I think people like us happen to, and not to say people in Gen X aren't, or millennials aren't, but or Gen Y, right? But I think that it's important to know, like, when you take what you do in person and you translate it to the internet, you can be extremely more effective. Yes. And you know, and I always use the saying, treat the pixels like people, right?
Yeah.
So, when you look at an internet lead, like, what are you looking at? Is it just a pixel and you just send a canned email response? But if you look at them, you treat the pixels like people, you might do things like, you know, send a personalized video and, you know, maybe send a little bio, or, you know, explaining about who you are and, you know, trying to almost start building rapport online. And John, you're really big on customer interaction and digital experience and with clients. So what would you share? What are your thoughts? What do you think is some of the best things a dealership and the employees at a dealership can do to make sure that they're treating the pixels like people?
I love that. I love this segue, right? You know, this is my world. I love this world. The way I treat, it's just personalizing. I always go back, every dealership that I talk to, every salesperson that I talk to, anybody in general, I always tell people, you know, there's a million of us, people, billions of us actually. How are you going to differentiate yourself from everyone else? And that's just
very easy. To me, that's very easy to do. Like, I love this, where we're going with this, because for me, it's very easy to do. One of the easiest things to do, in my opinion, is to differentiate yourself from everybody else, because everybody else pretty much does things at the same rhythm. You know what I mean? I think it's the same thing within our industry. Like, everybody pretty much does the same thing. They advertise similarly. They have kind of like the same message. The experience is kind of the same, you know? So if you just tweak your processes just a little bit and you make it just a little bit different, like, look at, you know, I talked to Max Zanin about this on a session early on, but look at Brian Benstock, right? Open 24 hours, such a, you know, that's doesn't take a whole lot to put that in place as far as, you know, an idea or whatever, but look at the difference that's made for, you know, for his business. So if you just tweak your process just a little bit and just, you insert something in there that's just different, you're going to stand out because that's not what you expect. It's not what you see over and over again. And I think for people, it's the same way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just, that goes back to where, getting in front of a camera or just picking up your cell phone and just doing a quick, hey, Mr. Customer, just got your inquiry, just wanted to introduce myself, just so you know who you're dealing with, right? Just that simple little act of video and texting or emailing it, whatever way of platform where you want to send this message to someone is so effective. Because let's face it, even though everyone knows this is important, right? We're not utilizing it. I don't know why. It's something that we use every day. It's something that it's the only way that can truly differentiate you from everyone else. And I think that's what's, going and traveling and dealing with different dealers. It's like, why are your people not getting in front of a camera? And we get all the stories. You guys probably heard it. Well, I like my privacy. Oh, okay, great. But aren't you in sales? Don't you deal with people every day?
Yeah, I hear that. That's like my job, right? Is to get people to use the technology that they have.
Yeah.
Oh man, so I get to hear all the barriers, right? And the best one is when they say like, I don't look good on camera. I'm like, well, if you don't look good on camera, you're probably not going to look good in person. And also, there's it's a comfort zone thing, right? Often, and then sometimes it's an ability thing. Like some dealers, super rural, they might have the worst internet connection, and it takes them forever to upload and send a video. So there's a lot of reasons, but man, I completely agree. I think it's the best and easiest and most cost-effective way to really like differentiate yourself. But you mentioned personalizing the message, and I think that's so key. And that involves, I think, a couple things, right? I think I think you've got to really read the lead as it comes in, right? So do you know how to do that, right? You've got to translate the data into the right language and read the lead, see what the customer is trying to find out about. And then I think you've got to like respond with relevance, meaning, what do you want to accomplish and what do they want to accomplish, and where there's overlap, right? That's the opportunity. So for instance, what does a salesperson want? Well, they want an appointment, right? Well, does the customer want an appointment? No, not right. Not so much.
Not right at the second. Yeah.
That's right. But what does what does a salesperson want? Expedience. They want to move the customer through the process quickly. Well, that is something the customer wants, right? So imagine if you put that in your message, right? Like, hey, John, Resurreccion, thanks for inquiring about this vehicle. I want to help you get through the process quickly, or decide if you want to come visit our dealership quickly or not. So check it out, man. I'm showing you the vehicles available. Here's my number, contacts below. Are you looking for price? Do you want to know what your trade's worth? Do you want to make sure it's available? What else can I do for you? Hit me back when you watch this. You know what I mean? Like, respond relevantly. What are your thoughts on how can they better tailor the message, in your opinion?
Well, really, it comes down to, how we say when you're on the phone with someone or you're in face-to-face with someone, it's always, are we actually listening? Are we actually understanding what this person is looking for? Right. I think too many times when you have internet directors or sales managers, the first, rightfully so, get me the appointment. Right. Or for some dealerships, if their culture is give them the price right off the bat, that's the natural avenue that these dealers are doing it. But even though we want to be extremely expedient, we want to be fast, we want to be concise, that type of thing, and we want to get them the information right off the bat. I always tell internet departments when I've built them, I always tell people, when you get the lead, slow down, read it, and then read it again. And then from there, before you even get on the camera, think about what you're going to say. It's not, car people are very interesting. We're very good in talking, right? We like to do free flow. I don't want to say a script,
right?
But before you even put that message out there, record it, look at it before you hit send. Is it the right message? Is what they told you when they sent the lead, is it the right message? Exactly to your point. Is it saying what it needs to say? And I think sometimes it comes down to, again, the basics, hello, Sean. Hello, Herb. Those are just effective. They're just letting you know that you know who you're talking to at this point. It becomes personalized. Then it's just going over the stuff that, hey, Mr. Customer, I know you inquired on a Nissan Altima 2020 and you're looking for X, Y, and Z. I'm going to make sure you get the right information. I just want to make sure if you can give me a call back or a text or an email, letting me know that what you sent is the right thing that you're looking for. And then go based off of that. Build that conversation with simple things and not to go overload. I think what happens is when we get these things, we try to do too much too fast, right? It's just like when you first meet someone, you don't, hi, welcome to Timbuktu Motors. You want to buy a car? No.
Yeah, sign here, right?
Yeah, no.
That's a great point. It's funny because we know the outcome, right? We want to generate a sale, right? So, but we're trying to go from like internet lead to sale. Like, when do you want to come in? And man, I think there's no question you've got to get them to call you first, and then don't try to close over email or text. Like, turn it into a call. Videos, no doubt, it's better. And it was funny because I think there's another thing you can do that really obligates the customer and creates a situation where they want to come see you. And that is simply like, we're in the car lot. We work hard, man. We work long hours. We're running around the heat of summer, in the rain and the snow, getting the cars, snow brooming cars off. When you've got a customer that reaches out about a car, man, show them the work, the effort you're putting in.
Absolutely.
Right. And like, so I was working with, I was coaching the co-video sales team, and we were mystery shopping a couple of dealers that were potential clients for them, and just getting the generic canned response back. Right. So we reached out to these dealers and we made a little video to say, hey, what if your response looked like this? So check this out right quick.
Hey, Sean Kelly, what's going on, man? Check out your Kia. This is Sean Kelly with Kia.
So I don't know if you can tell, but
He's in the rain.
I'm holding an umbrella in the rain. Like, think about how that would obligate someone to want to come see you. I bet you if they did no-show my appointment, they're going to be calling and saying, I'm so sorry, but I can't make it.
Absolutely. It's a great point, though.
Man, that's so dope.
You know what it is, what video does, and putting it out there, it's just letting people inside your world. We have to understand that people are afraid of our world. Our world is, with the big stigma. We talk about this. Everyone talks about the stigma of the car business, right? But they don't understand the amount. They're like, oh, salespeople, all they care about is sales. Okay, great. But what was the preparation before that sale that they did to help you when you did come in, right? The lot radio is an imperfect example. That's content all day long. Put your camera right on the curb, watch people do, moving cars left and right. Like, dang, these people really care. Or the guys blowing up balloons in some areas. They blow up these balloons, 7:30 in the morning after a Friday morning meeting. That stuff right there just lets people know, like, man, there's something going on. I might have to go check these people out, right? It's just those simple little things that when we tell people to build content, what I tell people when they're building content, it doesn't have to be serious all the time. Not in a way where it doesn't have to be how we get on LinkedIn and we try to coach people, or we try to tell people mindset something, because everyone now is a motivator, a motivational speaker. Everyone's an influencer, that type of thing. If you just get on camera and just let people know what you do on a daily basis, people will they'll connect with that. Man, this person works really freaking hard. I might have to go do business with this guy because he gets me, type of thing. So I think it's important that I love that video, though. I love that video, Sean.
What about the power of becoming an authority within your space, and then the other one is like breaking the ice with a customer, right? So I see that twofold. So if you're constantly doing content in your primary market, right, via Facebook and things of that nature, and value-added content, not hey, come buy my car, I got the 0 APR or whatever, but more like how to is it better to buy or lease a car? When should you buy a car? How can you negotiate your deal? Things of that nature. How to get more for your trade. Stuff that's bringing value to an audience. If you're doing that on a regular basis, people are going to see that, and if you're consistent with it, then that kind of makes you an authority within that space. You know what I mean? And immediately when customers, they may not be on it right now, But when they are, and they're going to think of you, right? Because you're the guy that brings value in that, you know, in that industry or whatever. And then the other thing is, you know, when you're communicating with your customers, with actual people that are on for your products and services and they're ready to buy via video, to me, I don't know. I mean, obviously I want to get your take on this, but to me, that's the quickest way to break the ice, even before the customer ever walks into the dealership, because they see your face, they see your expressions, and then when they see you in person, there's already some sort of a connection there because they've actually seen you.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think?
I love this. I love going this way, and it's because I've actually tested this. When I left Perry Ford Mods in Santa Barbara as the GSM, I actually was trying to get away from the car business. Then I had the owner of a dealership out here in Ventura County hit me up and said, John, I need you to come. I heard that you left. I heard you're trying to get out of the business. I want you to come and work for me. I want you to be the GSM of my dealership. And I told him, absolutely not. There's no way. I got too many damn kids. It's not going to happen. I know the car business. You know, I won't have a weekend. I can't go fishing with my kids or anything of that nature. But he says, if you don't want to be a GSM, it's okay. I just want you here at the store. So, you know, I missed it. I was gone for about 3-4 months out of the car business. I was literally going through my bank account and I was like, oh my gosh, it's dwindling. I need to do something. So I told the owner at the time, I says, okay, not a problem, but here's what I need from you guys. I need to only work 4 to 5 days a week. Allow me to come when I need to come. Not be there and do lot rodeos and spend 15 hours when I could do everything that I can at home. And he says, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I've always tried to see if this method works, this social media thing, right? And he says, okay, well, and I told him, I says, I don't need leads. I don't need anything. I'm going to try to generate my own traffic. And so what I did was, if you look at my early stuff in social media, the thing that I did was, I first said to myself, as a consumer, what do I not like? I don't like people selling me anything. I don't like people telling me to come on down. Why should I come on down when my time is extremely valuable, right? I don't want to be told that I'm the number one salesperson, because everyone's the number one salesperson. I don't want to know that we're the number one dealership in the Tri-County, because everyone's the number one dealership in the Tri-County. I don't want to know how many vehicles you have on lot, because the dealership next door probably has 10 times more than you. Everyone always, the rhetoric for me was at this point was, how can I get more people to just listen to me? And so what I did was, I told people how to buy cars. I didn't tell them I was going to sell them a car. I just told them how to buy a car. Let me explain what a holdback is. Let me tell you what invoice means. What does it mean when you look at an MSRP? What are you really looking at? What's the difference between a lease and a buy? Till this day, people still don't understand what a lease is, but they actually do. Your cell phone is a lease. Everyone's leasing something. They just don't realize that on a different scale. A cell phone is a lease, because no one's buying their kid $1,000 phone. They're leasing that $1,000 phone for their kids, right? It's the same concept with a car, right? But they don't understand that until someone actually tells them these things and educates these things. I think that's the difference between guys like you, Herb, and guys like you, Sean, is that we're not selling you anything. We're just trying to share what we know and helping you and guiding you to be better, right? Or in this case, when I got into the social media world, I started telling these customers everything. When you go through Costco, what's the experience you're going to have? If you're going through Auto Trader, this is how to effectively go through Auto Trader. These are the ways that you can find vehicles. So when I started to do that, I tell you what happened. February 2017, I came in with no leads. I finally told the owner of the store, not a problem, I'll do it. I probably stepped in the dealership probably 16 days out of the month, and I ended up with 35 cars. And they said, and never taking it up. It was all through here, through social media. The owner basically asked me, did you give every single car away? I said, absolutely not. Right? He said, but I've seen your content and you told people what an invoice is and what holdback is. I says, I understand, But because I told people this stuff, they felt comfortable with me.
Right.
So when they did come on the lot, it wasn't, is this guy trying to rip me off? This guy genuinely really wants to help me. And so I think that's what people need to understand is when you're getting onto these platforms, educate more.
Yeah.
Stop selling people. No one wants to be sold.
So I love what you're talking about because I coach dealers on what I call the e-selling. I coach on the 5 E's of social media content. And what they are is the first one's what you were talking about, John, which is educate, right? And that's huge. And we won't elaborate more on that. You nailed it. You hammered that one. And then you've got number 2, E, which is entice, which entice is what I think most dealers and salespeople are really good at, where they're posting a car and posting the deals and check out what we got in stock and check out the rebates, and that we're trying to entice. But that has been oversaturated, right? So when things get oversaturated, they lose their effect. They, like you said earlier, you got to stand out and be different. So you also have entertain. Entertaining is great. There's a sales team, Trev and Garrett, I coach out of Ohio, and they started like a news, a car salesperson news show, which is geared towards their local community. And I mean, they've got thousands of people. They built their Facebook page up to like 8,000 people in a matter of 6 months. Doing it. And it's funny because the sales Trev told me, I'll never go on social media. He had one of those barriers. And he's like, I'm just not going to do it because what you put online stays on there forever. After, helping him see the value in it, here we are, a few months later, and, he's got a wig on and he's doing funny acts with this news anchor show, and it's drawing so many. He walked into a gas station he never met, says, what are you going to be on? What are you going to talk about this week? I love your show. So you've got entertain, and then you've also got empathize, and it's interesting because if your customers have a problem, right, and that's why they came and shopped with you. So better believe other car shoppers, especially in their network, probably have a similar problem, right? So when you post that delivery photo, are you just saying like, congrats, here's Susan with her new car, or are you like, hey, Susan found me online because I had a great deal on this super rare, Nissan Altima. And when Susan showed up at my lot, she'd already been to 4 dealerships and she was tired of shopping. So I spent the time and listened to her. And as such, she decided to take home this new Nissan Altima today. And if you want help, right? So identify the problem that you solved for your customer, tell that story, and then give them that call to action. And to reach me, here's my website. And that's the E, the fifth E, the fifth of the 5 E's is engage. Because, and last story I'll share is I've got a dealer group in California who, I mean, the campfire took out half of their demographic of clientele. Like they went from, you're familiar, John, you're from, I mean, they're a small independent lot already, 60 to 70 cars, and they went down to 30 cars, and it was, I mean, and Herb, we're going to have her on Dealer Talk soon, but to share this story. But they started all hands on deck social media. Not only were they posting, but they started messaging all the likers and the followers. So they're posting, they're telling the story, messaging all the likers and followers. And it's amazing how many people through engagement ended up saying, yeah, I'll buy a car from you guys. Absolutely. And now they had to cancel their marketing, almost had to lay people off. But because of their social media strategy, following the 5 E's and that engagement, they've been having some record days, and they haven't had to I think they've had to lose 1 employee. So it's been amazing. So what do you guys, Herb, what are your thoughts from the, on the technical side of it, right? Like, because I think it's one thing to have, creative people coming up with all this content, but I think a lot of time the creative people aren't that good at distribution, right?
Yes.
So Herb, what do you think about like how, and for both, I mean, there's a question for both of you, but how do you enhance the distribution where it gets in front of all the eyeballs? What are your thoughts on that?
So, different channels. I mean, there's 3 avenues, right? So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, those are the top ones, but they're a little bit different, right? So, Facebook should be where most dealers are spending their time. That's their community, or should be their community. So one aspect of Facebook is trying to gain followers to their pages and likes to their pages, because the more followers you have to the pages, every time you post, that post is going to go up to 15% of the people that have liked your page or engaging with your page. And then that's going to be distributed among their friends as well. So that should definitely be an avenue. Now, I'm going to make a prediction right now and say that that's not going to be the case forever. I think that Facebook pretty soon, maybe 2-3 years from now, you won't even be able to have a page on there for free, right? Right now, we still can do that. And so we need to take advantage of that and grow our audience to as big as we can get it. But then the other part of that is the ad part of it. So a lot of dealers are not taking advantage of that amazing opportunity in Facebook ads. So for example, they spend $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, some dealers on a third-party site, which is designed to keep their inventory on their sandbox, right? They're not designed to send customers to the dealer's website. So what happens is that you don't control that. You know what I mean? But with Facebook, you can have all of your inventory on Facebook, on ads if you choose to, and then route that customer directly to that VDP of that specific car, or directly to your website. And what's most important, if you have the Facebook pixel installed on your website, which if you don't have that right now, then you're just missing out. You can retarget that customer. So when I was with AutoTrader, that was a big conversation with dealers. I'd go in there with my metrics and my numbers, and I'd be like, hey, you got 50 million VDPs, and the principal was like, dude, that's awesome, but my car's still sitting here, it hasn't sold. Right? Why don't you give me, that was always their contention, why don't you give me their information so that I can proactively go after that customer? Well, I can't do that. But I can do that with Facebook via retargeting. I can create as many VDPs as I'm willing to pay for, and then retarget that customer with a specific offer. I don't know, $1,000 off your trade, $500 down payment. I don't know, get creative. Whatever you're willing to do. And so we got to be able to distinguish those two. I mean, there's a posting side that's free and all that stuff, and then there's the ad side, which is to generate business, right? To do business. Now, you have to have a balance, right? You can't just go, a lot of these dealers are making a huge mistake by posting on their sites, like, buy my car, this is, this is my special of the month. Like, who cares? Who cares? What you want to do on that side of things is you want to build value, right? You want to build value. What's your value proposition as a dealership? How can you help me as a consumer? What can you do for me that's going to bring value? Sometimes it's not even automotive related that can be impactful. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of like the two strategy there. And then when I talk Facebook, I'm also talking Instagram, right? Because they're the same thing. And then YouTube, right? I mean, talk about commercials and all that stuff. Why don't you have video walk around of your inventory? Just a video, a walk around, and then post that on YouTube, right? Put it on YouTube. And then pay YouTube to put that piece of inventory in front of an audience that you've selected, right? That you can impact. And just show your car. I mean, what a concept, right? Just show your inventory the way it sits on your lot, and let the customers see it, engage with it, and you can generate leads that way as well. Plus, not to mention that, I mean, and John, you talked about this earlier, right? Before, it was super hard to create that distribution because it was controlled by networks and radio station and all that stuff. Dude, we have the audience and we have the channels, and they're free. Why are we not using them? It just blows my mind. I don't understand it. Like, we are not looking at this the right way, and we're missing the boat.
Tell us how you really feel, Herb.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, let's face it. I mean, it's funny that we're still having this conversation, but the reality is this. I think what's happening is that people are still overthinking it.
Yes.
Right? They're overthinking that, man. Let's just say, for example, someone says, and they look at my video. They're like, damn, John's video looks like a production, right? I can never do that. No one's saying you have to, right? As long as you're putting yourself out there and letting people know what you do on a daily basis, people will start paying attention. Stop the overthinking of that. It has to be a production, right? There's people that are influencing strong, and they literally just do it from their cell phone and just post. There's no graphics. There's no, right here, it says Herb Anderson. They don't have a name title. They don't have anything. They're just communicating, right? And I love what you said, Sean, because it was a big thing that when I was teaching and helping dealers and salespeople understand how to maximize social media, Tell the story. People love stories, right? People like to read about it. People like to listen to about it. People like to watch it. Tell stories, not just calm on down. I think what it comes down to, and I tell people all the time, change your rhetoric, change the message that you are saying. It's the only way to separate you from everyone else. If you're going to continue to say that you're the number one dealership, no one's going to believe you. No one's going to go there because it sounds like every other dealership that's out there, right? Sean, I'm stealing that 5E thing because that's amazing. I love that.
With the world. It's
right?
It's a gift for everyone, my friend.
But it's perfect. I mean, it's exactly what it is. But to get to your point as far as distribution and stuff, it's literally, let's face it, the only way you're going to separate yourself from everyone else is just be you. I hope out of all of the stuff that we talked about today is stay true to who you guys are as individuals, individual salesperson, individual dealership, anything individual, whoever you are, stay you. You don't have to be the next Herb Anderson, Sean Kelly, John Resurreccion, all the other people that we have here. Be the person you are. Tell that story. If it's not even car related, I remember there was a guy in California that talked about nothing but fishing. His page was all fishing, right? He was a fisherman, right? Next thing you know what, I told this guy, how about you tell the dealership to let you borrow one of the trucks, and every time you go fishing, you take a picture of the fish you're holding and the car that you have, whatever it may be. If it's a Ford F-150, you're right next to a Ford F-150. And let that be the content. Then you can get a different demographic. There's a million ways to do it.
I just want to say really quick, before the moment goes, John, you said something really important. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And here's, it's one of my favorite quotes from Zig Ziglar. It's, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you could do it well. Yeah. You're not going to do your first video today and it's going to be amazing. You're not. It's just, you got to start. You got to be consistent, and little by little. I mean, dude, you look at the first video I posted on LinkedIn and some of the stuff that I'm posting right now, and it's just worlds apart.
Yep.
But you start and you get into it and you start learning about editing, and if you get serious about it and lighting and all these things, and next thing you know, you kind of evolve into the next thing. Yep. But if you don't start, if you're just waiting for it to be perfect, then you're never going to hit the red button. You're never going to record anything, and you're always going to be waiting for that moment, and it's never going to come.
Yeah. Really quick too, before this thought's left, I'm going to bring this back to the beginning of this segment, right? Of all of this about measuring and analytics, right? When you start posting and making different videos, right? Then you need to start looking at the analytics of it. Am I saying, and is this message working for the people that I am trying to get a hold of, right? Going back to all of this stuff. Maybe that first video, maybe whatever you're trying to talk about isn't the right thing, but maybe the next video that you talked about got 1 million likes, got a lot of different views. Then maybe that's what you need to talk about. Goes back to testing everything, right? I didn't know that educating people was the way to go. I was like every other salesperson. Come on down, see me. I got the best inventory on the lot. But once I started to change my rhetoric and I started putting different videos of how to buy cars, that's when the measurement came in. I measured, okay, people are actually listening and engaging with this information rather than the car porn that I put up on this car that I will never own, right? So stuff like that will allow you to get better, right? Those are the things that, going back to the very beginning of this, of the analytics and how to view things, this is how you do it. You want to do it in a 30-day span? Do it in a 30-day span. Do 30 different pieces of content and see which one works best for you, and then run with that for a while.
Look, when it comes to analytics, it's interesting. So my coaching clients, we kicked off this at this one dealer group, right? We kicked off this social media program. And at first, they had a good amount of, everyone was posting, right, on their social. And at first we had a good amount of engagement, but it started kind of tapering off. Some people would get 1 like at best, right? And then we had a workshop. We didn't just throw it out the window and say it's not working. We revisited it, right? The cycle of continuous improvement. And we came up with the idea. We're like, you know what? you've already told your family and friends that you sell cars over and over and over. It's oversaturation. I was like, let's tap into a whole new network, right? The clients network. So we came up with a plan, and my clients started, the people I'm coaching started going live from the customer's phone. And
I love that.
And we went from getting, 1 like to getting some of these videos got, 290 likes and 3,800 views and 40 shares. And then we took it a step farther and started, messaging the people and saying, hey, you like Veronica's car? And even to the point where, let's be real, salespeople, they're often underutilized, and there's enough time in the day where they can personalize these messages. So imagine that you get Veronica, who's a real estate agent, to go live on her Facebook, her real estate network connections click like, right, and comment, and those, maybe you enjoy selling real estate people, right? So then you look up that person's Facebook profile and see they're a real estate agent, and then you send them and this is a real story from a guy named John Cheklik who I coach, and he sends a video to this real estate agent and says, hey man, I see you're a truck driver and a real estate agent, and your Tundra is getting a little old. He's like, I've got 28 cubic feet of Toyota Tundra prime real estate here on my lot. When can you come have an open house tour with me? And the customer replied back, I'll be down this weekend to check out the truck with you. I mean, talk about, tying it all, connecting all the dots there. So
absolutely.
This topic, Herb, what do you think, brother? And thank you, John.
Dude, this is it's right on point. Like, I was just, as you were saying that, what popped into my head is like the days when the dealership's a department in the dealership is their own recording studio with the green screen and you know what I mean? Just set up to do content. Cause that's really what that's how we need to start looking at this deal, man.
Yeah.
There's no other way. And why would you not take that? The channels are there. The distribution is there. The audience is there. You just have to use it. I mean, it's that, that's simple.
Absolutely. With the amount of money that dealerships are spending right now on other people to do stuff, they could do this in-house. I mean, it's unbelievable that they could do it in-house as long as they dedicate. It's almost like the new dealership era needs to create social media, digital marketing. Like, they need to create that and have that in their store. I think that's where it needs to go to, right? When it comes down to, this is what it has to just be a part. It's just like, we need salespeople. Okay, you need content people. You need people that just dedicated to do this.
Or, we talked about this, Sean, in our last session with Jason Harris, but the other portion of this is when you hire people. That should be one of the things that you're looking for. Hey, are you comfortable in front of the camera? Are you know what I mean? That sort of a deal. Like, that should be, or you should be looking at their profiles on social media and see if these people are doing videos and posting videos and things of that. How comfortable are they at doing that? Because look, I remember back in my dealership days, the salespeople would get cards and they would go hit the streets when it was slow. Like, they would actually leave the dealership with cards and they'd go, door to door. I don't know where they went, but they left the dealership with cards. Now you can do a video, you can post it, you can pay an ad to just go 10 miles from the dealership for $10, $10, and it can hit 100, 200, 300 people. You know what I mean? One video. So yeah, man, it just doesn't. I mean, you just got to look at this the right way. But anyway, man.
I love what John said about the just the last thing, man, is just being yourself, man. That authenticity, so powerful. Yeah. Don't go on there and try to be someone you're not. And every time you talk about the car and the price, you're not being a human. So John, great point, brother. I love that.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, fellas, we've been almost an hour in this deal. Thank you so much for coming in, dude. I want to give you really quick 2 minutes. Tell us how we can get in touch with you. What you're up to. If you have anything coming up, let us know. And then we're going to obviously put everything in the show notes too.
Really quick here. So obviously you could find me on LinkedIn, John Resurreccion. Very simple. Social media, as far as also Instagram, it's Selling Cars Like Candy Bars. You obviously know. Hold on. That's it right there.
I am.
Yeah, so you can find me there. Facebook, I'm in the same John V Resurreccion. That's pretty simple. Some things that I'm up to right now, I'm actually paired up with now Mark Dibb and MXS Solutions and PPC Town. They basically do a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about right now. But I felt a great connection. Not only that, they're right down the street from me, but it was just another way of me getting able to touch a lot more different dealerships and helping them do what we just talked about, right? Understanding that The website is absolutely 100% should be like your number one salesperson, and it should always be ready for any type of traffic and information that's coming that way. So got into that, and again, it's just this year 2020 is I'm doing a piece called Exposure Truth on my own city, on the 805 in Oxnard. Huge thing that I'm doing. I'm going out into the community, talking to a lot of different entrepreneurs, talking to a lot of different nonprofit organizations. Basically, the city in Oxnard, California, people do not know where it's at. It's actually between Malibu and Santa Barbara. We're that city right between. We're that pass-through city. I'm tired of telling people where it's at exactly. So I've told 805 in the community that I am going to do a documentary on the 805 in Oxnard. And I'm doing that out of my own will because I want people to know where we're at. It's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful place to be. It has one of the unkept secrets of the most amazing beaches out here, but people don't know about it because, again, we are in between Malibu and Santa Barbara. So I'm going to do something for that. And that's a big project that I'm doing. That's going to probably be done by the summertime, but putting a lot of energy into that thing as well. Cool.
Right on, man. Just a quick shout out to our homie, Mark Dibb and MXS Solutions. These guys are awesome. If you're looking for website or SEO, SEM, hit them up. I'm not getting paid to say anything like that. I've seen their stuff. They know what they're doing. And I know that dealers can definitely benefit, and we need some more help, because there's a lot of companies out there that are just not good. So,
that's a nice way of saying it, right?
Yeah, if you're looking for true professionals, then check these guys out. We're gonna put a link for them in the show notes as well, and then to everything that John just said. So make sure to go to the show notes for some additional information. John, thanks, buddy, so much for getting up early on a Saturday morning to do this deal. Sean, thank you for co-hosting with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
One last question I ask everybody that comes on the show: where do you see the automotive industry in the next 5 years, and why? But wait, we're going to put a twist because you already answered this question. So let's do, where do you see the automotive industry going as far as content creation and distribution in the next 5 years, and why?
Oh, this is a good one. I love this one. I think, and I feel that in the next 5 years, you're going to start seeing the content be more of, you're going to see a lot of it being a lot of entertainment. I always tell people that any dealership you walk into is entertainment, right?
Oh.
Especially if you've worked in a dealership. There's so many different characters in the automotive industry that it's going to get to the point where people are going to start building content like its own reality show. I foresee it, right? It's like if you guys have ever watched The Office, it's going to be that feel. And that's what's going to translate in people's realm. You're going to see a lot of people start understanding and finally getting it, that it's not about putting up, we are the number one dealership or we have the best price, but more it's going to talk about the characters who are the most important people in the auto industry, the sales people and the people that work inside the building. You're going to start seeing people put out themselves onto camera. I think that's in the next 5 years. We're going to see a lot of different sitcoms. Is what you're going to see.
Right
and,
on.
I think I'm really excited. And as far as long as we're doing our part as well and allowing this generation to say it's okay to be different, it's okay to be yourself, just put yourself out there. I think salespeople are probably the most creative people in the world. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean,
I love it.
Really
if that happens, I'm gonna buy myself a dealership. I'm going back on the showroom floor. Reality show. Yeah. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. I hope so, dude. I really do. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So nope. All right, guys. Hey, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate it. It's a great session. That's all the time we have for today, folks. If you haven't done so, please make sure to share this episode, share this podcast with anybody that can benefit from this information so that they can take it back to the dealership and implement in their day-to-day. Thank you so much, and we'll talk later.